Hey guys, hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys are doing great. Before I jump into this video, I'd like to ask you guys to share, like, subscribe, and do all the YouTube things that needs to be done. So on the previous video, I tried to do a vlog. Right, I ended up getting sick, and a lot of issues just took place. So I uploaded what I could. So the vlog was meant to last for 1 week, and became so short, man. Towards the end of that. So someone did say that this is a skill, right? And it's a skill that I must learn going forward. So this is what I'm going to do. So today I am going to talk about my experience with patients so far, and maybe some tips and advices for upcoming medicine students, right? Whether you are whether you want to study medicine, or you're already studying medicine and you're just in the lower years, right? And some of the mistakes that I believe I made and how you can avoid them. So at this point of my studies, right, I am expected to be able to clerk the patient. I'm expected to be able to take a proper history, right? After taking a proper history, do a proper examination, and then come with a management plan and discuss this with the doctor in charge, right? So I won't lie, the more I do this right now, the more I do medicine is the more I enjoy it, right? It's a bit different. Then this is my personal experience. It's a bit different than previous years. Yes, it's a bit harder. Yes, there's more work, but it's more practical now. It's interesting, man. The fact that I can see a patient, go through all of that, and try to find the diagnosis myself, and even the management plan myself, I found that to be very, very interesting, right? So I'm going to give you a funny experience and a bad experience that sort of like disturbed me. And then I think I'm going to end with some advices. So the funniest the funniest patient I've dealt with, right, was a patient who had diabetes mellitus and also hypertension, right? He was an elderly man, very talkative man, and this was on clinic, right? And the main reason he was there was to follow up on his blood tests that were taken, and also to receive some medication. So I bring this guy into the consultation room. Even this guy's an old man. I bring this old man to the consultation rooms, and he's very talkative and he's very chatty. I like that, right? His free makes me speaking to him a bit easier. So one of the things that I realized that I'm very introverted, right? So one of the things that I had to develop, especially dealing with patients, is trying to talk more with them. So it always helped me whenever there was a patient who was free, right, who was open, who would talk, because it helped me engage with the patient a lot easier. We are talking with this patient, we are laughing, or rather, I get into the consultation. I take my history, and after taking the history, in the facility I was attending, right, every patient is taking vitals. So upon entering, before you come see the doctor, you're supposed to take your blood pressure, your blood glucose, your height, your weight, your pulse. So after having taken the history, I'm supposed to move on to the examination. Right? And before I do the examination, the patient's supposed to give me the paper that has the vitals on them. So I asked this old man to give me his vitals. And he was really telling me, let me explain something first before I give this to you. I'm like, what do you have to explain? Let me just see the vitals. And he goes on to explain how his diet is wrong, how he enjoys sugary things, how he enjoys food stuff, and how he enjoys, he goes on to talk about a lot of things that were very, very interesting, right? And he refused for a while to give me his vitals. And that was that was very funny, man. Dealing with that patient was very funny. because it was really funny. I was just laughing at the fact that he was refusing with his vitals. So he ends up giving me the vitals. I realized that the blood pressure was uncontrolled. The blood glucose was very, very high. And I understood why he didn't want me to give. He didn't want to give me his vitals. And he was really telling me that I shouldn't mind these readings. I shouldn't mind the tests that were done on him. He's going to bring the blood pressure down. He's going to bring the blood glucose down. There are no reasons why he really didn't want. He was trying to protect himself, right? Is that he was told that the next step, if his blood glucose is uncontrolled, right, would be for him to start taking insulin, right, and injections. I didn't want to do that, so yeah, he really fought against that. So that was one fun experience. I know maybe me telling the story, it doesn't sound as funny, but that was one of the most enjoyable consultations I ever did. So for one of the worst, actually this was the worst, and I actually questioned myself a lot after this. So I was doing a call. I was enjoying this call. It was a very busy call. I don't know why I enjoyed this call that much. I was enjoying this call, and I believe it was about 11:30 at night. I'm busy seeing patients, I'm examining, doing this, given my diagnosis, my management plan. I'm going to present to the doctor. And I remember this sister calls me, "Hey doctor, can you please come here?" So one of the things, right, I realized is that as a student, they call you doctor a lot. And I used to fight this, and I stopped fighting now. Now I just respond, right? I used to not like being called a doctor when I'm not a doctor yet. But every time you try to explain, they just ignore you and call you doctor anyway. So they call me, "Hey doctor, we have an issue here. What's the problem?" They show me this patient, an elderly patient, who has been there from, I think, 8 a.m. that day. So this is a patient that I knew. I knew her condition. I had seen her a couple of days before. I clocked her. I know what was the issue was. And yeah, that was a bad experience, number one, because of what she had, right? But number two, I now started feeling bad because now this old lady was in the waiting room. I don't even want to mention what she had, man. I don't want to mention what she had. I don't know if, yeah. Now let me not mention what she had. But she had a very serious condition, right? And let me just say, a very serious condition to the point where there's nothing doctors and Western medication could do. So I think someone might have forgotten about her, forgot to see her earlier during the day. And when the team that I was calling with came, they knew nothing about her. So she had waited from 8 a.m. and tell me now it's 11:30 at night. There I am, I'm feeling bad. I take this case, I'm like, no, let's try at least to get a bed. She's an elderly patient. Let's at least try to get a bed for her. And we tried to get a bed for her to put her in the ward. And I remember when I called the ward, they said that their beds are full, right? They don't have any more beds. And I remember trying to talk with this lady, and she started telling me about her problems and how everything in her life is going bad. Yeah, but she's supposed to receive help here, and the previous team forgot her, and things of that nature. And I guess the thing that it led me to do is I don't know why I did this, right? I don't know why I did this, but I don't know why in her I started seeing my grandmother, and it pained me as if this was my grandmother. The fact that she's been waiting here for so long. It's 11:30 at night. She doesn't have a bed to sleep in. She's been falling asleep in her wheelchair. So she tells me that, even before she tells me anything, I started taking like responsibility as if this is my grandmother. I have to try to help her. So one of the reasons, so I remember I took my phone and I tried to bolt for her, which I don't know if it's allowed or not, to be honest, because if something happened, I don't know if I was going to be blamed, but I tried to bolt her at least so that she can sleep on her bed. Problem is, she wasn't typing the correct address on the Bolt app, so it was kind of problematic. Here I have a patient who's has a very serious condition, who has been waiting here for over 12 hours, who doesn't have a bed. We don't know the address to where she stays. It was just a bad situation, man, and it disturbed me for the rest of the night. I remember we have to finish our call at 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. in the morning. And for the remainder of that call, man, I was disturbed because there's nothing I could do to help this patient, and from that experience I questioned myself, because a lot of us, we want to do medicine to help people, but then I realized how affected I got, especially if I failed to help people. And I started questioning, maybe to be a doctor you must not have a heart of wanting to help. I started questioning that because I started asking myself this question: imagine if I was the doctor in charge that day and I just got disturbed by such a patient. I feared that the rest of the patients after that were going to come in, we're going to receive a low standard of care, because my mind was now fully engaged with what was happening to this other patient. It questioned a lot. Maybe being a doctor who doesn't care about the people, who only cares about the skill, is actually better for the people, because a person who's going to be involved, who's going to have his feelings involved within the patient he deals with, is going to get affected all the time, and this might affect the quality of work or the quality of services that he or she might give. So that remains the worst experience. For my consultation, remains the worst, and it leaves me at a place where I don't know how to solve this as yet, but then I think I will get it solved. So one thing I think I did as a mistake, especially in my previous years, was avoid seeing more patients. One of the fear now that I'm here is that I'm going to be graduating soon, and I feel like I haven't seen enough patients. I feel like I haven't practiced the skill enough of seeing patients. So one thing I'd really, really advise, which I'm seeing, man, fourth years are doing, right? And I'm looking at them and I wish I was like them when I was in fourth year. At least the fourth years I've been dealing with, right? They are really engaging. Every opportunity they have to draw bloods, they want to draw bloods. Every opportunity they have to clog the patient, to examine the patient, they're taking the opportunity with both hands, and they try to even discuss management plans. So I wish I was just more involved within the process within my previous years. And I think that's about the only tip I can give for now with regards to seeing patients, man. See as many of them as possible and try to see them independently. It's one thing now. It's one place I'm putting myself in now deliberately, right? So whenever I have to see a patient, I try to see the patient all by myself, so that I can, if I do make mistakes, I make the mistakes all by my own, and then I'm able to rectify them. Because now seeing patients with with a group of people rather, covers the mistakes that I could have made if I wasn't with them, right? So practice. Right? That's the important thing. Plan the approach. What is the approach in the way in which you ask questions? What is the approach to examining, right? There's a technique that you have to learn, and all of these things when I could have done in earlier years, and now it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky that I didn't do that then. I'm putting more time on it now, but had I done that earlier on, I would have been much better at the craft. So my advice, man, is get involved early, work on your technique early, technique for asking questions, for taking your history, technique for examinations, and even coming with management plans. So that'll be it for today.